Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cool Sports Guy. I'm Tom, and joining me today after a couple weeks of not being with us is Jarrett. So, good news is our show is going to get more exciting. Jarrett, thank you so much for joining. How are you?
It's good to be back. Had a little bit of a hiatus from going to a depressing Bears game, then being sick the entire next week. So we're good now, though. So I'm good to be back.
So the Bears lose, you're sick, and then the Bears win, and then you're out of bed and you're ready to go.
Yeah,
pretty much. Works. Okay. So Jared is unfortunately sick. Like 9 of 12 months a year. Just kidding.
So,
I'm sorry.
Wait till next year. Justin Fields MVP season next year. That's what's going to happen.
It's fair. All right. Well, we are back on the picks. Obviously, we already did the Thursday pick when we did our Thursday night episode, and here we are. We're going to do the rest of the picks. So before we start, don't forget to check us out on our Instagram page, our Facebook page, our Twitter page, and our website, coolsportsguide.com. But until then, thank you guys for joining, and we will start. You ready?
Good to go.
All right, so let's see what we got. So week 1, first game, it's London, baby. Broncos at Jaguars, but not technically at Jacksonville Jaguars, more like London Jaguars. So I think Russell Wilson's supposed to come back and play this game. That's
what I don't think it's like guaranteed or confirmed or anything, but it's looking like very, very likely Russell Wilson's
after
back.
all that rehabbing on that long flight, I would assume he's he's gonna be ready to go. Okay, so who's going? All right, so look, Jacksonville. I was so high on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they're playing so well in the beginning of the season. And I thought, man, I'm going to be right on my Jacksonville pick. And even at one point, you started giving me credit on my Jacksonville pick. And Doug Peterson is the coach of the year. And then, boom, they just lost. Is it 3 games in a row that they just lost?
Something like that. I definitely cursed your
yeah,
pick,
you did. You did. Thank you so much for that. So obviously, Jacksonville not looking very hot, and now they get to travel to London and play. But here's the bright side. The bright side is, one, they're playing the Broncos, who are an absolute travesty. If I didn't see the game last week, I would not have even thought to think that, Russell Wilson didn't play last week, because it didn't seem very different. The Broncos they are garbage this year. That's just the reality. You can pinpoint and blame who you want to blame on this. You can say it's coaching. You can say it's the QB. You can even say it's the defense, who is one of the best in the league this season. But nonetheless, first of all, they're bad. Secondly, listen, Jacksonville, as bad as they've looked, you know where they're used to playing compared to a lot of other NFL teams? It's London. And they actually have a pretty solid fan base in London, believe it or not. So this, for the most part, compared to the Denver Broncos, is going to be treated like a home game, in my opinion. I think Jacksonville is the better team than the Broncos. Well, I don't know about full round team, but when you take that offense and that quarterback into aspect, yeah, I think Jacksonville's it's gonna be a low scoring, tough game, but I think Jacksonville's gonna pull it off. Oh, hey, Jose picked Jacksonville.
Yes. I'm going to make this a triple agreement. I don't like the Broncos this year, which Nathaniel Hackett, listen, he's probably a nice guy. I don't want to hate on him too much. I don't know if a coach has ever been fired within 10 weeks of their first season, not including Urban Meyer. His was bizarre because he was going to the bar after games or whatever instead of flying home with the team and kicking his players. That's an extreme. I don't know if a coach has been fired within 10 weeks of their first season just from being that bad of a coach. If it's never happened, Nathaniel Hackett might as well be the first one, because my man was not prepared for this job whatsoever. And I'm not blaming him for ruining Russell Wilson. It's obviously still Russell Wilson's been in the league long enough. He shouldn't need a coach to give him step by step on how to be a quarterback. But Nathaniel Hackett has not done a good job. He's supposed to be an offensive guru, offensive mastermind, and their offense is debatably the worst in the entire league. He looks like a worse coach than Matt Nagy, and that's the most bizarre part. It's been bad. I feel bad for Broncos fans. They had so much hope going into the year, and now the rumor to like trade Jerry Jeudy and trade Bradley Chubb and just trade all of their players because they're getting sell now mode because their team is that bad, and they don't even have picks to rebuild with because they spent all of them on Russell Wilson. They're in for a long haul at this rate, and the Jaguars may have a bad record right now. They are one of those teams that is a lot better than the record says. I still think the Jaguars are a very solid, even good team, and I think the Jaguars should win this one. And like you mentioned, they play in London a lot, so it basically is a home game.
From a quality aspect, the Broncos are now looking like Walmart.
Okay, don't hate on Walmart that much, okay? I like great value.
I was just making
stuff.
the joke
I know,
because Walton family owns the team now. It's all it was. But look, one quick observation in this whole thing. I have never seen someone abandon their Super Bowl pick so fast.
He abandoned them week 1.
He picked the Seahawks to win week 1. And I think he's picked that team to win like twice so far this season.
I don't even remember a single time he's picked them to win, to be honest.
Now, granted, listen, he's leading all of us in records for pick, but I don't know what changed from when he picked them to win the Super Bowl to week 1. But hey, I guess we'll never know. One of these days we'll ask the guy and we'll figure it out. But man, oh man. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next game. Dolphins at Lions. So Tua's back. Obviously, the Lions are. I think this is yours. I'm gonna let you take it first.
Dolphins and Lions. Listen, I know you watched Hard Knocks and we're all on the Lions bandwagon. I still haven't even gotten around to Hard Knocks, so I never had that the Lions are a good team. No, I never had that. The Lions I had high hopes for at the beginning of the year. They looked like the best offense in football. Their defense just couldn't stop anyone and they were losing games. And then I don't know what happened. Now they can't even score points. They got literally shut out by the Patriots, who Justin Fields and the worst offense of all time almost dropped 40, but we took a knee at the 2-yard line about to score out of pity. The Lions, I'm sad to say, I had hope for them. I was rooting for them. They're not a good football team, and it sucks because they had, I don't know, they were a fun team to watch and everyone was rooting for them, but they're just not. The Dolphins, I think you and Jose both had kind of mentioned whenever they started off the year 3-0, you were like, oh, they're still not like a great team, which may be the case, but they also were on their 3rd string quarterback, who was a 7th round rookie out of like, I don't know what college Skylar Thompson went to. I'm sorry, like Western Kentucky or something like that. Skylar Thompson was not a good quarterback. Tua started off the year great, then got hurt, and then it took a little bit for him to come back, and then they won with him. I think Tua is actually undefeated on the season when he plays.
So far.
And their defense is solid. They have some injuries, but their defense is still solid. And I think they can stop the Lions offense. And as long as they stop them once, they're going to win because the Lions defense literally can't stop a soul.
Yeah. I just listen this. So here's what, not only am I kind of heartbroken about the fact that I was so hyped about the Lions and that they're just not good this season. Right. Here's 2 things that I did. Here's how good Hard Knocks was this season for the Lions. I forgot that their quarterback was Jared Goff. Number 1. And secondly, but this breaks my heart more than anything. The team is undisciplined. And that's on coaching. And I was so excited for the coaching, man. I used to make so much fun of that guy. And then I saw the Hard Knocks. And then I was like, man, this dude's going to turn everything around. Nope.
See, my thing with Dan Campbell, I love the dude to death. He seems like such a fun coach.
Yeah.
But so there's like different kinds of coaching styles. There's like Dan Campbell. He's like a
Pete Carroll almost.
I'm going to explain my thing and then I'll get into comparisons here. But Dan Campbell is more of like a, smash mouth, like motivator kind of a coach. And then you have like your Sean McVays, who are just like absolute brilliant people and football minds. you kind of have to. I mean, I'm not saying McVay is a bad coach. That's not where I was going with that. But you kind of have to. You can't be too far onto one side. You have to be.
Like Belichick is.
Josh McDaniels is a good example more than Sean McVay, where he's a brilliant football mind, but he's not a good leader or motivator. Dan Campbell is a good leader and motivator, but I don't think I'm not calling the man dumb, but I don't think he's like as football smart enough to be like a head coach and lead a team like that. You got to be in the middle. And he's too far onto one side. And I hate to say this, but he's just an overglorified like high school football coach. And I hate it because I was rooting for him so bad. But Dan Campbell is
I
not
didn't
the
go
answer
that
at head
bad,
coach.
but
I don't. He's not the answer at head coach.
Look,
It's
Lions.
breaking my heart.
Admittedly, let's face it, you picked the Dolphins, right? And I'm gonna assume both of us did.
The throwback logo, by the way.
Yeah, I see that. It's pretty interesting. I don't know if I've ever seen that logo.
I looked up. I like whenever I was putting it in, I looked up the logos. I'm like, oh, that's a throwback. I'm using that one instead. I don't have a reasoning for you.
It's okay.
I think that was like the really, really old one because that wasn't even like the early 2000s one.
All right. Well, yeah. So Dolphins are going to win. They're clearly the better football team. they just are. Let's move on. So Panthers at Falcons. I think I get to go here. Look, I want to make this very clear. The Buccaneers are not a good team so far this season. So Panthers beating the Bucs 21-3 does not make Panthers a good team. Panthers sucked from the beginning of the season. And last week was a fluke. And no, it's not going to continue. The Falcons, on the other hand, I thought was going to be the worst in that division. They're actually, even though they're not doing so hot from a record standpoint, they're in the game every game. Almost every single one of their games, except for last week, was like a one-possession game. And so I think the Falcons have a better fighting chance. I think they're the better football team. I think Marcus Mariota is proving, some of us wrong a little. And it looks like they have heart. It looks like they came to play. So I got to give the edge to the Falcons. I have the Falcons winning the game.
Yeah, the Panthers are not a good football team, and they just traded McCaffrey. I know they just beat their the number one seed in their division, which is the Buccaneers, but that was a fluke game, like you said. I really like this Falcons team. I know their record still isn't great. I think they're also at 3-4 along with the Buccaneers. Given they honestly probably should have beat the Buccaneers. There was the worst roughing the passer call in NFL history that happened, which kind of I'm not the type of person who agrees with like, oh, they only lost this game because this one call, because I think there's a lot more that goes into games than one play.
Well, they did need a full touchdown from stopping them.
Yeah, I could get into that, but I'm just gonna point out I like the Falcons team a lot. I really do. I still think they need an actual quarterback, like a franchise quarterback. Mariota's been decent enough this year, but I think they need a quarterback. But their running back group isn't atrocious. Cordell Patterson's a very fun player. Tyler oh my God, I'm disrespecting the man by not knowing how to pronounce his name. Tyler Algier or whatever. I have him in fantasy.
I think that's
football.
how you say it. I'm actually trying to remember how you pronounce his name too, and I can't. We apologize.
It's Rich Bisaccia all over again, and we took like 8 weeks.
Pronounced it.
I'm sorry. Well, now he's a special teams coordinator. He doesn't get respect. But I really like the running back group. Calvin Ridley will be back next year if they don't trade him, and he's a solid option. Drake London's been okay for a rookie. Kyle Pitts, I know he has had an awful year, but he's still one of the better tight ends in football. Their offensive lines look good. Their defense was why I thought they were going to be bad. I thought their defense was going to be probably the worst in the league. It hasn't been like elite or good or great or anything like that, but it's been a very serviceable defense, and it's kept them in games. And I really like this Falcons team. Arthur Smith, I really like as a coach. I don't know if you remember because it wasn't a huge talking point, but whenever they like last year and stuff, when I was talking about Arthur Smith, I'm like, I like him as a coach. I just feel like he doesn't have talent around him. I think like he's doing. Their record still isn't good, but he's doing well with what he has to work with, because like on paper talent, he doesn't have that talented of a group, but they're outperforming, which is any team that outperforms their talent on paper is to do with coaching. That's just always what it is.
It reminds me some of those older Patriot teams. to where you look at the players that they have and you're thinking, man, they're not gonna be so hot, but they're getting the best out of every single players they currently have, and I think that's saying a lot about coaching.
Yeah,
So,
I think that they're a fun offense. Cordell Patterson's actually out hurt, but when he's there, their offense is so much fun to watch. Like, I know most people weren't going to sit down and watch a Falcons game because they're not like a great team or whatever, but they're a very fun team to watch. If they get a good quarterback, like, they will be a playoff team, like, fun team to watch.
well, we'll see. So you got the Falcons, and well, there you go. Waiting for our disagreements to click in there. All right, so Cardinals at Vikings. I think I'm going first here. Oh, I did not mean to click on that twice. Listen, I picked the Vikings to win the football game. The Cardinals, we've seen spurts from them, right? Kyler, when he gets going and he can scramble and make those crazy plays happen, he can win. But aside from that, overall, if I have to rate them, they're not a good football team. I don't think they should have won against the Raiders. The Raiders gave up on that game like it was, nothing. Their record shouldn't be as good as it is right now. Vikings, on the other hand, hot start followed by a bad loss, and then they came back and they're winning. And here's the thing, look, it's not a primetime game, so you don't need to worry about Kirk Cousins crapping the bed. I think they have a better overall, well-rounded team. And again, there's not much for me to say here other than, dude, I don't have a lot of faith in the Cardinals. I think the Vikings are going to win.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't think Kyler Murray's that good of a quarterback.
You made that very clear in our.
Oh, that was a mistake, but yeah.
Kyler, I don't even know where to start. I don't really know how to because he's not bad. He has all the physical tools you need in a quarterback. I feel like he just doesn't.
Except the height.
Okay, the height, yes.
Look, I'm short. I'm not trying to make fun of the guy for being short. But
I mean, it is kind of hard being a quarterback at 5'5" in the NFL, but
5'6". How dare you?
But he's a very physically gifted player. And again, other than height, he has all the tools you need in a quarterback. It just feels like he doesn't really put it all together. Which I was very low on the Cardinals going into the season. I had mentioned, I think they're like a 6-win football team. Which, I mean, the season still has halfway to go, but I'm looking pretty spot on with that. The Vikings,
hey, you know what they do in the second half of seasons
are even worse. They're going to win. How many aren't they 3-4 also or something?
They're 3-4 or 4-3, one of those.
Well, I know the Rams are 3-4, and I think the Rams are second in that division behind the Seahawks. So I'm pretty sure the Cardinals have 3 wins. I know, but listen. But the Cardinals I was low on, and so they have half a season to get as many wins as they did in the first half, but they're probably going to do worse. But the Vikings I was very high on going into the season. As you know, I had Justin Jefferson. I said he was going to break 2,000 yards receiving. I look very wrong on that. He might still win Offensive Player of the Year. It's a possibility, but I don't think he's going to sniff 2,000 yards. I mean, there was 3 weeks in a row where he got absolutely shut down by the cornerback. Darius Slay, completely took him out of the game. That was also on primetime, primetime Kirk Cousins. But Justin Jefferson hasn't had as good of a year as I thought he would, but they're still winning. I think they're 6-1 or something bizarre like that. It's something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, Vikings are playing pretty well.
They have a very good record, and I'm not discrediting them because I definitely think that they're not one of those 3 great teams in the NFL, but they're a good team. But I also think that they have had a pretty cakewalk schedule this far, other than the Eagles, who is the team who beat them. Listen, okay. I love the Bears. They that's basically a free win, and we almost won if the former Viking player on our team didn't fumble the ball away. They beat the Packers in week 1, which the Packers have been bad this year as is, and week 1 Green Bay is even worse. The Lions, they've beat up on some bad teams, kind of like how the Packers do or have done every year because our division's always bad. But the Vikings, I think, are a good team, but I don't think they're a great team. I just think the Cardinals are a bad team, and so I am going to go with the Vikings on this one. I did pick up Kirk Cousins in fantasy football because Justin
Hey.
Herbert's on a bye week and Justin Fields is playing the Cowboys. So hopefully Kirk Cousins rewards me for trusting in him and actually puts up points because my 3-4 record is not so hot right now.
Well, there you go. Another agreement from all three of us. Jose needs to stop agreeing with every single one of our picks so we can finally catch up to him and beat him. All right, so let's see. Bears at Cowboys, and like you just said, Justin Fields. Hey, you benched Justin Fields because they're playing the Bears, so you better not have picked the Bears to win the game.
Listen, Justin Fields has never not gotten off my bench, so I didn't bench him. He's just he's my team mascot. My team is the Justin Fields.
I think it's a bigger slap in the face when you have a quarterback on your bench and you bring in somebody else.
He's my mascot. Whenever Mitch was the Bears quarterback, I was Trubiscuits and gravy, and he was always on my bench, even though he was awful. You got to have your team mascot on the team. That's just how it works. But yeah, I love the Bears, and I think they're a well-coached team on Monday Night Football. We did beat the Patriots, who going into the game, I wish I was there for the picks episode if I wasn't sick, because I know I'm very biased and I always bank on the Bears. The only time I haven't picked the Bears this year was against the Vikings, but I was actually really confident going into that game. I know we were coming off a loss against Washington, but our offense was really good against Washington. We just didn't capitalize in the red zone. And I was like, if we can turn that around, we win that game by 4 or 5 touchdowns. It was that we were dominating them. And so in this game, I was like, I get Bill Belichick feasts on young quarterbacks. He always has. But the Patriots, I thought going into that game were a bottom 10 team in the league. And now I'm thinking they're more so bottom 5. They do not look very good. I was confident in it. Justin Fields looked amazing in that game. He wasn't perfect, but he had a very, very good game. Our defense was insane and playing out of their minds like Eberflus defense would. And I think what I learned from that game is Justin Fields is in fact a franchise quarterback and he is going to be elite. And Matt Eberflus is a good coach. I'm not saying he's going to win us a Super Bowl, but Matt Eberflus is a good coach. Our team is well disciplined and they don't make many mistakes. But with that being said, the Cowboys are a very, very good football team. I'm not going to lie. They have, I would say, the best defense in football. Micah Parsons should win Defensive Player of the Year. He is an absolute insane player. I don't think it's a Super Bowl caliber team because I don't think their offense has played well enough this year. But that defense is so good that it scares the crap out of me.
It might be a Super Bowl caliber team considering they're in the NFC.
That is also fair. They do have to beat which I'm going to point out, their division, the NFC East, was always the NFC least, worst division in football. Yeah. Even Washington, who's the worst team in that division, isn't awful. And then you have the Giants with 1 loss, the Cowboys with, I think, the Cowboys have 2 losses, and then the Eagles who are undefeated. That's bizarre to me. But with that being said, so I don't ramble on too much, I am, for the second time this season, not going with the Bears. I did pick the Dallas Cowboys to win this game. I'm going to point out, again, the only other time I didn't pick the Bears was against the Vikings. Every time I've picked the Bears, you can take it as bias all you want, but I genuinely thought we could win that game. And even after we've lost these games, all of them, I'm like, that was a winnable game.
That's fair.
This one, I think
Washington for sure was.
Washington, we dominated in every aspect of the game, except we just didn't put up points. It was very painful to watch. Yeah. But the Cowboys, I think, are the better team, and they should win this one. I mean, obviously, it's still winnable, but the Cowboys are very good this year. I think this is probably the best Cowboys team we've seen in a while. And then Dak, he has to come back from his injury, but if he does, fine, then they'll be good. That defense is insane.
Yeah. Well, he's back.
I mean, I know he's back, but I mean, playing at his
But the thing is, I think the way the Cowboys are playing right now, he doesn't even need to do anything crazy. Even when Cooper Rush, I almost said Cooper Cup. Even when Cooper Rush was playing, the idea was, hey, keep us in the game. Don't turn the ball over. And eventually against the Eagles, he turned the ball over and they lost that game. They very well could have won that game if they didn't turn the ball over that many times. Dak is back. I don't think he's going to make all the mistakes, and he's obviously better than Cooper Rush is. I don't think he's that great of a quarterback, but he's definitely better than Cooper Rush is. And look, you've agreed it. I'm not going to sit here and talk a lot of crap about the Bears, but they're not good this year. They potentially could be in the future, but right now they're not good. Cowboys, like there's a lot of things that are going against me right now, but you know what? I don't know if you remember, I picked them to be in the NFC Championship game this year.
I do not remember that,
It's
but
looking pretty solid for me. Well, I picked them in the Bucks.
well, my picks are all awful, so I mean,
so I have to go with the Cowboys to win this game. I don't see a reason. I mean, again, listen, I went with the Patriots last week against the Bears, and I was wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll be happy for you. But that's kind of it. But I had to go with the Cowboys, and I believe their agreement. All right.
I'm gonna point out, if the Bears win, this is a win-win situation for me, because if the Bears lose, I get the pick right. If they win, I'm in a great mood.
Yeah. And you don't fall behind anybody because all of us picked the Cowboys to win. So moving on. Raiders at Saints. Oof. Okay. Is it my turn?
I do. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Saints looked really good against the Cardinals last week until that 2-minute drill or the 2-minute drive in right before half. Back-to-back pick sixes.
I'm gonna point out. I don't want to cut you off. I'm not that none of that blame. I mean, some of it, but not like rarely or hardly any of that blame should go to Andy Dalton.
Oh, I agree.
It was both like it was one that got like the receiver bounced right off his hands. I think the other one was a tipped pass. Andy Dalton does not deserve the hate he's getting for that game. He didn't play that bad.
I fully agree with you. Obviously, I watched the game. I saw, in real time, saw it happen. It was that's not on Dalton. Because first of all, the Cardinals' defensive line was getting to them big time, and secondly, look, when the ball hits both of your hands, you got to catch it. Got to catch it. Come down with the football, or even if you batter it down, is one thing. But when you knock it up in the air for grabs, well, that turns into a pick six. So, listen, I think the Saints are a better team than their record shows, and they're a really good team. This was a tough choice for me. That being said, so are the Raiders. I don't know if you recall, I actually picked the Raiders to beat Kansas City a few weeks ago, and it was a very close game. I've actually picked the Raiders a couple of times this season. They've given up some games. I think they're tightening up on that. Coaching is very much questionable still, but the team as a whole, again, they play some really close games. I think they're really good, and I have to keep giving them another chance, man. So I had to go with the Raiders. This game can go either way. I'm not gonna lie. This was a hard pick for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I didn't write down who I picked. I just made the slides. So it was so close. I don't really remember 100% who I picked. It was I'm like 90% sure, so it's fine. Whatever it's on here is who I picked, so it's fine. It's gonna be proof. But
so it was a toss up.
Yeah, it was very close. The Saints, both these teams are so much better than the record shows. They just have had tough games. The Raiders one, like you had mentioned earlier, against the Cardinals was awful at the end. I think Derek Carr is a good quarterback. I think he's, there's sports media people who are like, oh, they should move on from Derek Carr and whatnot. Derek Carr is a good quarterback. I don't put the blame necessarily on him. The Saints, they have their quarterback issues because, Winston got hurt. Andy Dalton came in. Andy Dalton's a good game manager, but he's not a quarterback who is good enough to go out there and win you games like single-handedly.
By the way, is Winston back this week? I'm sorry to cut you off.
I don't know. I genuinely don't know because I haven't seen anything that like confirms it. But I know on fantasy football, when I was looking at quarterbacks, I was like, okay, well, the top two options are Kirk Cousins or Jameis Winston. And I decided to go with Kirk. And then my opponent, he has Patrick Mahomes, was the only quarterback on his roster who's on a bye week. So he had to pick one up out of free agency. And he picked up Andy Dalton. So I don't know who's supposed to start. I'm just hoping it's Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton doesn't play, and then I get like basically a free win in fantasy. That's all I'm banking on. But I don't know. I think they're very similar. I think Andy Dalton's the less turnover prone guy and plays it more safe, but Winston can give you that big playability. But the Saints, I like Dennis Allen as a coach, and I had mentioned that in my like new coach rankings I did whenever like the all the hirings happened. And I feel like he's gonna get so much of the blame for them being bad, but they haven't like played bad. They just haven't won the games. Like even against the Buccaneers, they probably should have won that game if Jameis Winston didn't throw like 7 interceptions in the last quarter of the game.
Now that was it. When that fight broke out. By the way, that's the most life I've seen the Buccaneers have.
Just get Mike Evans to fight people every week. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. But then he gets suspended and they lose the next game. So anyway.
I did go with the
find
Raiders.
Out who you picked.
I think I'm pretty sure I went with the Raiders here.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. It was an agreement.
So you went with the safety pick then.
Yeah. I like Derek Carr. I know their record is bad, but I'm going to keep like backing Derek Carr until like I literally cannot anymore.
Yeah. He's good, man. I really like him. All right. Let's see. Steelers at Eagles. Oof.
Don't hype this up like it's gonna be a good game.
Ooh, dude, I'm telling you. It's your turn. Go.
I'm telling you, the Eagles are winning this game. It's not gonna be close. Listen, I think the biggest problem with the Steelers, which is very obvious, is their quarterback situation. They have a good defense when TJ Watt is healthy. So I mean, their defense still isn't bad, but they have had some injury issues. But the big problem is their quarterback, and I'd say their offensive line. I love Mitch to death. He's one of my favorite players ever. My man is not good at being an NFL quarterback, so he is not a good option. And then your other option is Kenny Pickett, which I think Kenny Pickett, I'm not saying he will never be good, but Kenny Pickett is way too raw of a quarterback to be starting right now, in my opinion, as you can tell by him throwing like countless interceptions and turning the ball over. I think he just needs to sit behind a quarterback and learn the NFL game before playing. But the Steelers didn't want to wait on that. So they're like, okay, Kenny Pickett, into the fire you go. And it has not went well. And the Eagles are undefeated for a reason. They're not like I don't remember what year it was. But you remember the year the Steelers went like 12-0 and then lost like 4 of the last 6 games. And then they lost in the wild card. I want to say it was like
2018, I think.
It was.
No.
It was the year. I want to say it was 2019 or 2020. That's
when they lost to the Browns, right?
Yeah. It was the Browns like first playoff win in however long.
Yeah.
Whatever it was the Steelers were bad that year, even though they went like 12-0.
Correct.
They beat up on bad teams, got gross wins, that kind of a thing. I think everyone called that, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. They were so bad. Okay. But no, you take your credit. You were right.
Yeah.
But the Eagles, I think, they're a good football team. Jalen Hurts looks like an MVP caliber quarterback. Their run game's been solid. A.J. Brown looks like a top 5 receiver in the NFL. And that defense has been insane. And they're adding Robert Quinn. And I know he's not on the Bears anymore, but I love Robert Quinn with a passion. I watched the game whenever he broke the Bears franchise record in sacks in a season. And I love the dude to death. And I'm not like an Eagles fan because of it, but I'm low-key rooting for the Eagles. I want to see Robert Quinn do good, and I think that defense is going to be even scarier than it already is, and I think they should easily manage the Steelers here.
So I'll admit this. I don't I haven't given Eagles as much respect as I should. I still don't think they're as great, but man, they're undefeated, and I do need to show them some more love and some more credit. They're doing great, and they're gonna obviously look. I'm not even gonna fight on this pick. It's the Eagles. Come on, everybody's gonna pick the Eagles. One team's undefeated, the other team doesn't have a quarterback. It's that simple. And of course, the Steelers beat the Bucks. But I don't know.
Everyone's beating the Bucks. Yeah, the Panthers beat the Bucks.
Right now, so it is what it is. It's a very easy pick here. Like I said, I have to start showing some more respect towards the Eagles. Because let's face it, I have picked the Eagles a couple of times to lose now. But I think we all have. I don't think anybody expected them to go
I
undefeated.
definitely haven't had them at 6-0.
Yeah.
I genuinely think I maybe. Who did they play week 1? Because I think I may have picked the other team on week 1. I cannot remember
I don't
that
remember
far
who they
back.
played.
But I think I maybe picked the Eagles to lose week 1.
Well,
so.
it also a lot of people came in thinking that the Eagles are going to suck because their season ended very bad last year in the playoffs.
See, I thought the Eagles, I had them winning the division. Shout out me being, well, I'm not saying I'm right because we still have half a season, but I'm pretty accurate at this point. But I didn't think they were going to be like great, like elite like they are, because I had them winning the division more so because I thought the Cowboys, Giants, and Commanders were going to be kind of bad than the Eagles being as good as they are. But no, the Eagles are very much an elite team without a doubt.
Well, moving on. Patriots and Jets. I think we have our first disagreement here. What's that?
So speaking of not having a quarterback.
Hey. They got 2, man.
Have you ever heard of the saying, if you have 2 quarterbacks, it means you have none?
Yes, all the time.
Yeah, the Bears had that. It's not good.
Yeah. So I think we're going to have our first disagreement here. Do I go first here?
That's what you think.
Oh, my God. Did you pick the Patriots? Okay. Look, I have picked the Patriots expecting you and Jose to pick the Jets to win this game. Here's the thing. I know we talked a lot of crap about Bill Belichick, but let's face it, at the end of the day, he is a good defensive coach. And at the end of the day, Zach Wilson is nowhere near mobile or a running quarterback as Justin Fields is. He can still move around. He can still make some moves, but he's also Zach Wilson. I mean, he's been playing really good this year so far. I got to give him credit too. But something tells me embarrassing loss last week, especially considering that it's one thing if the Patriots lose with an embarrassing loss where the offense just plays absolute garbage, but it's another thing if the defense is also losing, because that's his trademark. That's what Belichick is. He's a defensive coach. He's going to tighten it up. This is a division game. He's going to come out to play, and I just went with my gut. And I had to pick the Patriots to win.
Listen, I'm all for trusting your gut. That's how I've kind of turned my record around in this. So I think that's a smart idea.
But
my thing with the Jets here, I don't think they're as good as the record shows. I don't want to hate on the Jets, but I don't know.
I agree.
I really think the Patriots are a bad team, like bottom 10, bottom 5 level team. They're not very good. The Bears are bad, and I have said this, and the Bears absolutely smoked them. They gave them mercy and took a knee on the 2. I'm going to keep repeating that because that's bizarre. The Patriots are not a very good team. The Jets, I think, Zach Wilson still has time to develop. I'm not like giving up on him. But outside of quarterback, they've been a very well-rounded team. They did lose Breece Hall for the season, which is very, very much a killer for that offense. But they did trade for James Robinson from Jacksonville, who I think is a very solid running back. He's a very capable running back, one to replace Breece Hall. He's just not as explosive. And my thing, Belichick, he feasts on young quarterbacks who aren't Justin Fields because Justin Fields is the greatest quarterback of all time. I get that. But Zach Wilson hasn't played that great this year to begin with. So even if he plays bad in this game, they've been winning even with their quarterback playing bad anyways. So I think they're fully capable of winning regardless. And I do think talent-wise, the Jets are a better team than the Patriots. So I'm going with the Jets.
Oof. Okay. I like it. I like the first disagreement. I love it.
Is that our first disagreement?
Yes. Well, aside from the Thursday night football.
Oh, yeah. But, I'm sorry.
All right. Hey,
I should have picked the Bears.
It makes me happy. We had to get through, 10 games to get here?
I told you we didn't have a lot of disagreements.
Oh, my God. Titans and Texans. Do we really have to talk about this?
You know how I mentioned the NFC least earlier with the worst division in football?
Yep.
Well, round of applause. We now have the new NFC least is the AFC South because they all suck. Every team in that division is garbage. I mean, I'm kidding. They're not that bad. They're just not good either. The Jaguars, I think, are better than their record, but they're still developing. I think in the future, they'll be a good team. The Texans, I love Davis Mills, but he hasn't really been the answer this year, and I could see them drafting quarterback.
He's the AFC's Mitch Trubisky, seems like. You really like the guy.
But yeah, he's just I don't know. I want Davis Mills to be the franchise quarterback, and I'm gonna back it till he's gone. I'm not
Which might not be too long from now if he continues this way.
It's fine. The Titans, I don't even think the Titans are good, but they're winning their division right now. And then the Colts are starting Sam Ellinger, which I could talk about. We don't need to go into that. None of these teams are good, but one of them is far worse than the rest of them, and that is the Houston Texans. The Titans are going to win this one. Derrick Henry's going to have a field day. Like just no. It Titans.
Yeah, look, I have nothing to add to it other than the Texans aren't good. They are not a good team. It sucks to say it, but they're not. And the Titans, any given Sunday, can be really good or really bad. Still trying to figure that part out. But the unfortunate reality is even when the Titans are really bad, they can still potentially beat the Texans. So, and I think, I half expected Jose to pick the Texans to win. I'm not gonna lie.
Too. When I was making the slides, I was like, oh, he's going to pick the Texans because he always just randomly picks the Tech. No, he did not.
Yep.
He's like me with the Bears, except I picked the Bears slightly more.
I picked the Bucks more than both of y'all. It's okay.
I don't know. I feel like I pick the Bucks like every week, except
against you picked them. You picked against them twice now.
I mean, we're in week 8. I feel like that's fine.
I guess I made an O against Giants. The Seahawks.
This is an interesting one. This is a really interesting
Giants.
one.
The Seahawks. This is such an interesting one, man. I really, really, really hope I get to watch this game. Jarrett, I have to say something.
Yeah.
I may have been wrong on Daniel Jones. There, I said it.
I'm not saying I'm wrong until I'm not yet. I'm not doing it yet.
I gave this guy the biggest crap in the world. And maybe it's a fluke season. Maybe I'm overlooking it. And maybe he is better than I thought, but not that great. I don't know, but I think I was wrong on the guy. He doesn't have a good offensive line. Maybe he just needed the right coaching. And you know what the number one thing that I think he got from Dayball was?
How to play quarterback?
Well, no. Hey, make a decision and stick to it. If you want to run the dang ball, you have the legs for it. Just run the dang ball. And ever since Daniel Jones just started taking off running when all else fails, which he's done in the past, but nowhere near as much as he's right now. Right now, he's confidently doing it. Right now, he's going through his reads and going, no, I'm taking off because I have the legs for it. If Josh Allen can run, if Patrick Mahomes can run, if all these quarterbacks can run, so can I. And I'm running.
Yeah, my thing with Daniel Jones, he's definitely better than either of us thought he was.
But he's still making a lot of really dumb decisions.
That
I was gonna get to.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
I was gonna say I still think they need to change, like switch quarterbacks. Okay. I think. I mean, they may like outplay their way of a good pick to get a quarterback, but I still think they should see other options of quarterbacks. Daniel Jones, I give him kudos. He has played pretty decent, this season. So I'm not going to say he's been bad, but I think that maybe Brian Daboll did fix him and he could be a good quarterback. I don't know. It's just that doesn't happen very often. I know Josh Allen, it happened, but no quarterback just like goes from being garbage to like elite like that.
Well, here's the thing. I can't decide on which of these two teams is the biggest surprise.
I can't either. I have a team I like more as like from a personal perspective.
Seahawks.
Yes, I don't really like the Giants. I don't want to sound like a hater here. Giants fans, for some reason, are always on Bears Twitter talking crap about Justin Fields for literally no reason, and it's annoying. So therefore, I don't like the Giants. But I don't know. The Seahawks have been so much fun this year. Geno Smith has the greatest quote of all time. The whole like they wrote me off, but I didn't write back is my favorite quote. But also a big thing with the Seahawks this year is their running game. And Kenneth Walker, the rookie out of Michigan State, I don't know if you remember around draft time. I don't even know if I talked about him or if it was just in like the my mock draft. I loved Kenneth Walker. I thought he should have been the first running back taken. He was like my favorite, he's probably my favorite running back prospect since Saquon back in was that 2018. I really liked Kenneth Walker, and I was like, I literally had said the words, I wish the Bears had a need at running back so we could have drafted Kenneth Walker because I knew he was going to be good, and he's been playing at borderline an elite level already. I really like him. Geno Smith's been playing out of his mind. Like, he looks like Russell Wilson when he was in Seattle. It makes no sense. Maybe Pete Carroll's actually a good coach this whole time. But, you know, the Seahawks have been good. Like, it's not like they had a couple fluke wins and are winning their division. They have been good.
They're
They have
playing
beaten good
lights out.
teams.
Well, their offense is very explosive and their defense is very questionable.
Which is that is fair, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, the Giants is like is a similar situation where like they rely a lot on their running game, and Saquon Barkley looks like the best running back in football, or at least up there. Like, he's had a resurgence of a year, coming off of some injuries. But Saquon's been great, and their defense has with the Giants, not the Seahawks, but the Giants' defense has been one of the best in the league. It's been insane. And Brian Daboll, I think, is without a doubt going to win Coach of the Year this year. He has been like absolutely insane.
Oh, he's gonna win. He has to win.
He fixed Daniel Jones. He deserves it just right now for that.
Look, 3 weeks ago, at the end of the day, this was also this was not a hard choice. I already knew who I was going to pick, even though I'm a little scared right now. 3 weeks ago, I picked against the Giants when Packers played them. I was wrong. The following week, I picked the Giants. I was right. I forgot who they played. And then the following week after that, they played the Ravens, and I picked the Giants to win, and I was right. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep picking the Giants. I got Giants winning this game.
I do have some bad news for you.
What? You also picked the Giants?
Well, yes, but the reasoning it's bad. So, you know, the Giants are sitting at it's 6-1.
Yeah.
Do you know how many times I've picked the Giants to win? Once.
One.
And that was the week they lost. They are my new Raiders. My Raiders from last year, it's the Giants this year. I have gotten every single one of their games wrong, which is wonderful. Even worse news for us, you know who picked the Seahawks?
No.
I didn't update the names at the bottom are wrong, but ignore that.
What do you mean? The names are right.
No.
I got you.
Yeah, I think that's the only time I messed up this whole slideshow, so I'm not hating on myself too much.
It's okay. Interesting. All right. Well, I'm gonna move on before I question.
Yeah,
all
I'm
picks.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. Commanders or Colts. Look, it's you go.
We had talked about this in the Thursday episode. The Colts benching Matt Ryan for Sam Ehlinger. It's not always the case, but the case is usually like random quarterbacks who get a start just randomly have great games for no reason whatsoever. Like Mike White, for example. Mike White came out of nowhere and had like an elite level game that one time and won the game. And my assumption here was because based on the news that they benched Matt Ryan, that both you and Jose would pick the Commanders. And I was like, it'll give me a chance to be risky, but I still think the Colts are the better team, that I can catch up with Jose in the standings. And I'm going to risk it on the UT guy, Sam Ehlinger. So I went with the Colts.
Fun. All right. So you had to go with your guy quarterback. Here's the thing. If Commanders would have started Carson Wentz in a heartbeat, I would have picked the Colts to win this game. The Commanders are starting Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke likes to come play sometimes. And I've shown a lot of support for Taylor Heineke over the past few years, and I have to continue to show that support when he plays. I had to pick the Commanders to win.
Jose, yeah, he ruined my. I literally only picked the Colts because I mean I thought they could win, and I thought he was going to pick the Commanders, and I wanted to catch up. I was going to risk it, but he picked the Colts.
This is the second time I'm picking the Commanders. The last time I did, they did win.
When was the last time you picked them against the Bears, right?
I don't want to talk about it.
They
All right,
shouldn't have won.
we got less than 10 minutes and we got 3 more games to get through, so
Okay.
we're going to try and get through
Speed
these.
round. Let's go.
Speed round. All right, 49ers or Rams. It's really hard to go speed round on this. All right. I'm going first. So look, the Rams have looked nowhere near close as anything like they did last year. Even though they won, it looks like they have some sort of Super Bowl hangover. I think the loss of Von Miller, they're feeling it just a little bit. And then on offense, if Cooper Kupp isn't there, it's almost like they have nothing. They finally started distributing the ball around a bit, but yeah, overall, not very impressed with the Rams this year. 49ers, on the other hand, same thing. They've surprised me on some of the losses, especially the fashion they lost to against Kansas City. It was one thing to keep a close game and lose, and then it was another thing for Jimmy G to just come out and just give the game away towards the end. But look, 49ers at Rams, there's some history there. Shanahan and McVay. Shanahan has proven to get the best of McVay more often than not, right? I believe I'm right on that. And they're the better team this season. They just are. And he's going to use Christian McCaffrey more. They have a really, really, really good defense who's a little banged up. I think they're going to be a little healthier coming into this game. It's going to be an entertaining game to watch, but I got the 49ers winning.
Okay, so I might be a little biased here. Both of these teams have been probably the two biggest underperformers in the entire league. It's been absolutely bizarre. They both because of bad quarterback play. But another one of these, this is another one of those games where I was like, I think Jose is going to pick the 49ers. I like the Rams. The Rams, they've played really bad this year, but they're going to turn it around at some point. Sean McVay is too good of a coach to just lose this much. He will turn it around. And I love the Rams. I know they lose to the 49ers a lot, but this will be a good chance for me to catch up or dig a deeper hole for myself. So I did pick the Rams.
All right. Well, cool. I'm glad. Packers and Bills. You go first.
Just because this is the speed round. And the Packers are awful. I think we have established this. They have no weapons for Rodgers. Rodgers himself isn't playing great by any means. And the Bills are the best team in football. This shouldn't be a close game. The Bills do lose to bad teams, just like once a year, they'll lose to a really bad team for no reason at all. But the Bills are a much better team than the Packers here, which is just absolute joy to me to watch the Packers lose. So I hope it's the case here as well. So I went with the Bills.
Confession time. I almost picked the Packers to win this game. I actually picked the Bills, but last week when Rodgers came into the press conference and said, maybe that's what we needed when they lost 3 games in a row, and said, hey, maybe the game we're going into is also what we need to where everybody's kind of counting us out. I thought, man, I'm going to pick the Packers to win this game. But then he made the comment about throwing all of, some underperforming players probably shouldn't get as much reps. He showed that the real lack of leadership there. And I just think that we might see that. And you know what we've seen improving over the past few years is Josh Allen's leadership. So one's declining like crazy, or one was never there, and the other one is ascending. So I too had to pick the Bills to win. It makes sense. And the game's in Buffalo. So last one, I think. Bengals or Browns.
I'm pretty sure this is the last one. Yeah. To keep this short, we all know. Oh, I guess you're going first. Never mind.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I was going to say, everyone knows my hatred for the Browns. I despise them as a team. I despise them as a fan base. I think a lot of their fans, I don't want to say bad people, but some of their fans do some very outrageously horrendous things at the games.
I don't know if you know this, but some of their players do some outrageous things too now.
I mean, yeah, their running back Kareem Hunt is a professional kicker, so I don't like the Browns. I really don't. The Browns I probably dislike more than I dislike the Packers, which is very bizarre coming from a Bears fan. I do not like the Browns. And I don't think they're a good team either. They haven't had a very good year. The Bengals started off bad, and I know we both were talking about Super Bowl hangover, but they kind of got out of it, and they've looked like a pretty decent team. Like they've turned it around. I know you had said I think right before we started recording that Jamar Chase is hurt, which if their receiving core wasn't as good as it was, I maybe would be like, oh, maybe I won't pick them. Jamar Chase is by far the best, but they still have Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins and Hayden Hurst. They got like good weapons. Joe Mixon's a great running back. I think they'll be fine, and they should win this game. So I'm going with the Bengals.
This was look, the Bengals started off very slow in the beginning of the season, and the Browns actually looked like they were going to win a lot this season. But obviously the Bengals have turned it around. They're playing really good football. My only concern is the Browns can get after the quarterback. It is a division game. It is in Cleveland, and they can go after Joe Burrow if they really want to. That is probably my only concern. But aside from that, obviously they have the better quarterback. Obviously they are the better football team. And I also, it's going to be a close game, I think, but I had to go with the Bengals. Ooh, I'm liking your logo selections today. And you said Bengals. Oh, all right. So did Jose.
I like to switch up the logos a little bit,
Yeah.
give it a little spice to it.
Nice.
But yeah, well, there was not a lot of disagreements this week, as you can tell. There was like
we did not, but we do have some interesting ones. So I'm excited to see what happens in those games.
I just need all mine to be right, and then I can be happy.
Fair enough. Well, guys, once again, thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to check out our website, schoolsportsguide.com, our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And
also, I'm going to point it's not on here. Jose he probably just needs to update it at some point. He also did start a TikTok. If you guys want to check that one out as well, I believe it's just the Cool Sports Guy or Cool Sports Guy on TikTok.
Yep. And it's after maybe hopefully this coming week. So now that we're kind of halfway through the season, we can start talking about where we are in our picks and all that. So do you have anything else to add before we call it a day on this one?
I don't think so. No.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining, and I hope you guys have an awesome NFL weekend out there, and see you guys soon. Bye.
Deuces.